ahead and get started. Okay, so we have the meeting recorded and we're live streaming. Thank you all for joining us today for our community conversation. This is the second community conversation in 2024. We had a few in 2023. These are designed to be true conversations. We have a small presentation or discussion at the beginning, and then there's an opportunity for questions or comments following. We want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we're going to hold this to no more than an hour. And we'd really like to thank the Maryland Transit Administration for joining us today to talk about the Purple Line. The Purple Line is really important to our community, and the construction has been impactful. So I anticipate that there will be some questions from our community members. But for now, I'd like to introduce Alexa and Kat. If you could just introduce yourselves and maybe talk a little bit about the project, and then we'll move to some questions and comments after. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Jessica. Really appreciate this opportunity. I am Alexa Heydrich. I am the Deputy Project Director for the Purple Line. And yeah, we do have a short presentation that we're really happy to walk you all through. It includes some updates about the Purple Line and also about construction activity in your area in Riverdale Park. Kat, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi. I'm Catherine Lamb. Please call me Kat. I am the director of the communications and outreach team. So when residents or business owners have issues or questions and need more information, that's my team who answers outreach at purplelinemd.com. And I'm really excited to be here today to support Alexa.
Wonderful. Thank you both. If you'd like to go ahead and get started.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Ooh, again, just give me one moment. How do I?
There's a green button in
the one that's right in front of me. Thanks.
It really is muscle memory, because I think Alexa and I were hired very close together last summer. And I think we both came from organizations who used Zoom, but then we've been completely immersed in Teams ever since. So it's like.
Yeah, definitely. I tried to get prepared this morning, and then there's always something with community meetings. So glad it's nothing insurmountable. Just want to double check. You guys can see the slide view, or like the proper view for the presentation. Okay.
Yes.
Great. So again, thank you so much for having us here this morning. We're happy to be providing an update on the Purple Line for everyone in the Riverdale Park area, and maybe outside of it if you're so inclined. I am going to give a bit of a project overview. I know you're all probably pretty familiar with the specifics of the Purple Line at this point. But just to really kind of set a baseline for us all this morning, and then I will focus on providing a more tailored update on construction in the Riverdale Park area. Please feel free to ask questions along the way. Like Jessica said, this is meant to be a conversation, so we do have slides prepared, but happy to stop and talk through anything as it comes up. Also, we'll be taking notes, so anything we can't answer today, we'll make sure to follow up with Jessica about, and she can help distribute that information. So I will also give an update on our outreach effort, and spoiler alert, our CAT meetings are planned for this May. So I'll talk more about those later. We do have one specific to Riverdale Park. I think you've all probably seen this slide and the information on it and know it pretty well at this point, but just to orient people to the Purple Line this morning, it is a new MTA light rail line. It's 16.2 miles from Bethesda to New Carrollton, 21 stations, 3 of which you're probably pretty interested in, and I'll talk more about those. The Purple Line at its heart is multimodal, and that's one of the things that's really exciting about it. It provides connections to 4 metro stations, 3 MARC lines, the Amtrak Northeast Corridor, and several local and regional bus lines. One of the closest stations to you all, the College Park UMD station, is a transit hub and connects directly to the Green Line, the Camden Line, and is a bus hub for the area. So this is where we really like to focus the attention these days. We really like to highlight the progress that we've been making. We know a lot of the work over the last several years has been underground and nearly impossible to see. So these days we're much more above ground. And from living or working in Riverdale Park, I think you can see that we're really busy with construction. We have active construction across 60 sites. We do understand the impact of this on our communities, and I'll be addressing this throughout the presentation. The project is currently more than 65% complete, which includes 17,000 linear feet of rail on the ground. I'm sure some of you have seen the installation of this rail, including at Hague Drive, which is very exciting, adjacent to River Road. 13 of our 21 stations, including the 3 closest to you all, are under construction. And just staying on stations for a moment, 5 stations have canopies installed, including the Riverdale Park North, which was actually our first canopy installation. So you guys get that distinction, which is very exciting for us. Another really exciting milestone for us is that our first light rail vehicle is scheduled to join us this spring at our operations and maintenance facility. It's a very big moment for us, and it's taking a lot of prep. So we are all hands on deck to work through everything we need to prepare for to receive it this spring. This past week, we did go to the Board of Public Works, and we received approval for our updated schedule, which will bring the project to completion in December of 2027. So focusing a bit on stations for a moment and the activity, what they'll look like, and then also what is the activity over the next 6 months. Starting with College Park, the furthest west, it seemed, while it is like maybe not the closest one to you all, it seemed worth referencing and giving you an update on, because it is that, it's the nearest regional transportation hub for you all. So like I said, Green Line Metro, Camden Line MARC, local and regional buses, really a connector for the much broader community. So what construction looks like at the College Park UMD station over the next 6 months: excavation for the station foundation, actual construction of the station foundation, installation of the new station utilities, prep for track installation, and installation of the station canopies itself. So, and I will also talk about the rail that's going to connect the River Park station with UMD in just a moment. So this is your closest station, River Park North, UMD. Dissecting this rendering a bit, you can see the station and canopy, and also some enhanced pedestrian features. So we really like to focus where we're making improvements. We can't make improvements outside of our level of our areas of service, but actually getting to the station, we wanted to make sure that we had the latest and greatest in pedestrian and cyclist safety. And so we do have our intersection will feature all new ADA compliant crosswalks and upgraded signals, which include pedestrian countdowns to safely cross the road. And it seems worth highlighting here also is that this is an intersection where we actually do have a lot of impact, and it's going from what used to be, I think, a traffic circle, and is now going to be a signalized intersection.
Alexa, can I ask a quick question about that?
Sure.
So the intersection, I mean, it's currently, constantly under revision, but
Right.
we have received some feedback, I'll just say feedback, from people who work on the street north of that, which I believe is called University Research Court, and they go to the NOAA facility and so on, that they can't get out because the river road is just a straight through. There's no traffic control there at all, and so they have to cut across. And I know that the university has reached out to SHA to ask about installing some stop signs or some other traffic control.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any information on that? Or...
I mean, I think that's the MOT plan, but we're definitely happy to take on what you're saying, and we hear it. It's been a kind of a intersection of flux. Like I think it went from traffic circle and then there were stops and now there are no stops. And so entering River Road, I think is what
Right.
you're saying, that's where there's no traffic control anymore. Let's take that on, Kat, and we'll follow up with you all.
Okay.
I've
And
got it.
as long as I'm on bothering you
Sure.
for the questions, there's an art piece of art that's for this station. Did that get put into the rendering, or is that were you just getting the station itself? I don't see it in there.
Do you want me to speak to the art and transit
Yes, that would be great,
overall?
Kat.
Is that what you're talking about, Mayor Thompson?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
These renderings were done quite a few years, but I would say 2 to 3 years back, depending on which one we're looking at. The art and transit program is absolutely within the design. The issue was that not every single contract with every single artist, because remember there's 21 stations,
Mhm.
those contracts were not finalized until just recently. And so you won't see the art and transit pieces on these
Okay.
renderings.
Okay,
But
that makes
it's a great
sense.
point. It's absolutely happening. We can't wait to start talking about it because the artists are all very special and a lot of work has been done behind the scenes to get those contracts buttoned up. But be assured,
No.
their next set of renderings, they will be there.
Okay, fantastic.
Mhm.
And then last question, you mentioned that there's a lot of features for bike safety. Is there bicycle parking at this location that you can sort of point out on screen?
That was one of the things I was trying to close up before this morning, and I'm not going to hazard a guess unless Kat, you know.
Well, I will say that we are admittedly a little light in the descriptions of the stations. We do talk about ADA compliance and the fact that our trains are lower, the loading into them is lower
Mhm.
so that it's easier for wheelchairs. And we say that there's bicycle storage. We don't drill down to a granular level as to how many bicycles. Of course, there's bicycle storage on the LRVs themselves. Every station, as far as how many bikes can be stored, I can't give you that today, but it's a question we will run down and get back to you on.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, so what construction activity looks like at Riverdale Park North over the next 6 months is continuing the station foundation work, ongoing installation of track, and then just kind of the final touches on the station construction itself. So digging a bit deeper, I touched on this just a moment ago, but digging a bit deeper into the construction activity at the Hagen River Road. So this is to your question, Mayor Thompson, about it's kind of it's answering the question of what will be there in its final form, which is a signalized intersection. And we'll definitely take back the current issues with the MOT. Construction activity over the next 6 months, installation of new utilities, track placement along Hague Drive, sidewalk replacement, restoration of Hague Drive, and the installation of the new traffic signal. So things are moving at this particular area. The track that you see, which has been adjacent to River Road at Hague Drive, will continue west, and it'll cross River Tech Court, reaching to connect with the College Park station. So I think this came up as a question before this meeting, and so we wanted to make sure that we addressed it. So this is going to be worked on and finished this summer. The closure of, we are going to close River Tech Court, and potentially some intermittent closures for prep work. But we will have these details to you soon. The plan is to present details of this closure at the CAP meeting, which for you all is scheduled, I think, oh shoot, I didn't write it down on this one. It's May 6th, I think, but I will come back. Or do you know off the top of your head?
Well, I think you're right. Before the press release goes out and before it hits the website, I always want to be careful that those dates could possibly change, but we do have a placeholder for that date. It's early on. They officially start on the 2nd, and I think that the 2nd of May, and I think you're right. I think it's the following Tuesday for this group.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So Jim put his hands up. I'm going to just jump in ahead. Just wanted to mention that there is an enormous amount of traffic associated with College Park Academy on River Tech Court, and so if it can be completed before school starts in the fall and start after school ends, then that would be fantastic.
That is 100% the goal, yes.
May I ask a question here as well? We've been doing our research on the Montgomery County side with summer programs at schools. Do you all know if there is a summer program at that campus?
I don't believe that there has been in the past, and that's just from, watching the traffic during the summer and watching what's going on at the facility, but it may be.
Okay,
that there's
we'll
something.
have our outreach liaison we'll reach out and double check on that, Alexa.
Cool, sounds good. Jim, I think you had a question?
Yes, just Jim Schmitz, I'm a resident of Riverdale Park. I'm curious if you know the traffic controls or signage, or will there be a light at the intersection of River Road and River Tech Court? The track crosses River Tech Court just shy of the stop sign. Anyway, I'm just curious if you know what that will look like.
I mean, I think it will still be a stop sign, and there would be appropriate road markings, but in terms of the specific kind of engineering of that, we'll have to take that on and get back to you.
Because I assume there will be crossbars when the trains are crossing roads and whatnot, and
Yeah, there will be
Right.
appropriate safety measures. Orlando?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Orlando Velez. I'm resident of University Park, but we have children that go to Sunny Days School, which is in the USDA APHIS building in Riverdale. And we do cross that intersection every day. And a number of families cross that intersection every day during the weekday. It's quite hazardous. I really would recommend council to think about putting a traffic light in there. We've seen numerous accidents, but that's a side conversation. I wanted to thank you all for addressing the closures for that intersection and to address any kind of summer issues or summer school. I'm not sure about the school in River Tech, but I know Sunny Days is still open. And we do have a number of families crossing that. So that information would be very helpful to us. I'm also on the board of directors for Sunny Days, so I can be a point of contact for that.
That's great. Thank you so much. And at the end of this presentation, we like to reiterate that we are here through multiple media for you to reach out to, and we have a
Fabulous.
really good response rate.
Thank you. Thanks.
So Alexa, just to answer the question about the intersection traffic controls, I have a memory, this was admittedly from a really long time ago, that intersection was supposed to be signalized also.
Okay.
But just wanted to, that may have changed. So I don't know. That was perhaps as much as like 8 or 10 years ago that I remember that from. So please do let us know when you figure it out.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so staying on our journey east, we have one of the big ones here about construction, Kenilworth Avenue. So the construction activity right now is really focusing on getting all the new storm drains installed. So this work does require the temporary traffic shifts to allow for the work to occur in the outside lanes of Kenilworth. And we do want to stress that we will maintain two-way traffic on Kenilworth at all times. So we recognize the importance of keeping the flow going on Kenilworth Avenue. One silver lining is all the underground utility work on Kenilworth, is complete. And once the storm drains are installed, we'll be able to complete all of the underground impacts and work on the roadway widening this year. So really Kenilworth is like a big focus for us, and we are all hands on deck on it. The additional construction activities include, this is getting a little technical if you really want the details, but installation of a new sand filter near the shopping center at Kenilworth Avenue, reconfiguration of the shopping center entrance, keeping it the same, returning it to its previous dimensions and everything. And then installation of new curb and sidewalks on Kenilworth Avenue and Caseta Road. And I hope I pronounced that correctly. In the final configuration of Kenilworth, we will be adding bike lanes and sidewalks from River Road on to East West Highway on both sides of the roadway, and really just seeking to improve pedestrian and cyclist mobility in the area.
Alexa, I wanted to thank Purple Line Project for opening that little internal street that goes between, I think it's Quesada and the parking lot. You opened it early at the request of some residents, and really appreciate that.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for sharing. So this is the furthest east station in Riverdale Park. This rendering shows the elevated station, which is actually the only aerial station in Prince George's County. So you guys have a few distinctions that you're racking up. At the intersection of Kenilworth and River Road, East West Highway. And in case you need a little help orienting to this one, the people in the corner here are at the intersection of 58th and River Road. I know you guys probably know this, you're very familiar with your community. Just sometimes reading renderings can be a bit hard. Okay, so this one is potentially or very likely top of mind for you all. We are very excited about the progress we've made most recently, which has been the recent setting of the girders for the first set of girders for the flyover from Kenilworth to the station. This does require the full nightly shutdown of Kenilworth Avenue and East West Highway, and it really is. It's for the safety of people in the community and traveling through, and also for our workers. This closure will continue through April. Until all the girders are set. And so really it's just making sure we have that full connection and we have all of the safety work done so that we can get crew on the flyover and to actually lay the track. So really it's to make the connection, get the safety work done so that the track can be laid, and then it will be a full flyover. The 6-month look ahead also includes the bridge deck work, the station elevator foundation, installation of station utilities, and the station canopies. I think I just covered everything on my notes, so all right. And then I know the detour it looks a bit long and may feel very long, but I think the important thing about this detour that's being implemented nightly during the week is that, and it'll continue through April, but really this detour is long or looks long because we are trying to avoid residential streets and we are trying to keep traffic out of residential areas. It's really meant to minimize cut through traffic. And we know people are probably still doing it, but we know our responsibility is to provide this detour so it keeps people out, it keeps drivers out of your residential areas. So that's really what we're trying to show here and to communicate to you all. It's not perfect, but we are doing our best to provide detours that do not promote cut through traffic. And it will continue through the end of April, which we are hoping is here before we know it, knowing that there are daily impacts for you all. So we do appreciate your patience and understanding on this. Okay, so that kind of forms the whole of construction activity for Riverdale Park. We do like to highlight our business and community engagement team. You guys have, what I kind of refer to as a business district on Kenilworth. And so we did recently have a business spotlight on IMAX Optical. So really, we just like to continue the conversation that we are reaching out to businesses in our communities and really making to ensure we maintain regular contact and we provide support where we can. And along those lines, Kat, would you be willing to talk about our business grant program?
I'd be happy to. Does everybody on this call know the young woman on the right in this photo, Marlene Vegas? She's our Prince George's County Business Engagement Officer. She walks the beat all along the alignment, visiting businesses every single day. We also have a Montgomery County officer doing the same thing over there. And this is in addition to our Prince George's County outreach specialist. She is still new, so she hasn't been out in the field as much, but she will be. And we have really great news as part of the BPW hearings and the adjustments that were made to the schedule. PLTP, Purple Line Transit Partners, part of the P3 agreement, they have agreed to fund $4 million that will be administered by the counties to continue the business grant program. This is, I want to be clear, this is not in addition to the money that was offered through the counties the last couple of years. This is a way to continue that program, and it'll be administered at $1 million per year between 2024 and 2027. And again, through the counties. So any sort of application needs to be done through them. But it's a way to show that we do support and recognize that construction does impact businesses along the alignment. And then, as Alexa pointed out, we highlight businesses in our newsletter, our monthly newsletter, and I know you subscribe on our website and on our social media. And we're just really proud of our team that's out there every single day, meeting with these people, finding out where their pain points are, coming back to us and making us aware so that we can, try to find ways to support them in addition to the grants and highlighting them. Does anybody have any questions about business or community engagement? There are also community grants, and that information is available on our website. It is, again, done through PLTP, our partners at PLTP, and for registered community groups, they offer between $1,000 and $3,000 grants that are administered once a year. And we'll talk about all of that and more on our CAT meetings this May.
Look like we have a question.
How are you doing? I am the council member for Ward 4, which pretty much covers Kenworth Avenue and also the I think River Road or Riverdale North Station. Specifically around the community grants, is it solely just businesses, or are there things that, or can the funds be used for like community programming in the neighborhood? And specifically, I'm thinking about we're calling the Purple Line neighborhood, which is that Quinzada, Patterson, 54th Avenue neighborhood that's sort of south of that parking lot along Kenworth Avenue, that have really been sort of cut off because of the construction for years. It's a one way in, one way out. And they probably suffered some of the biggest burdens from the construction. And one of the things I've been trying to do was like, how do we activate that community? And so hearing about community engagement, I think they're sort of like prime recipients for something like that. But just was wondering, are there parameters in terms of how it's used or how it's intended to be used, or is it just sort of like helping businesses sort of stay afloat?
No, it's a great question. There are two separate streams of grant. And so the business grants that are administered through the counties are for businesses, but the community group grant through PLTP is called Beyond the Rails. It's very clearly found on our website. It's right up at the top, and you can read about it as far as the requirements of the types of groups that are granted the monies. And then you can go directly to the form to be considered, and that goes directly to PLTP. So there's business and there are community grants. Want to be clear that they are separate. And as I said, the community grants were just administered. I think the checks were cut in February. The next group will be looked at this summer and awarded, and those are between $1,000 and $3,000, and there are requirements, but it's worth looking into.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for any other questions as far as that community is concerned, please do reach out to my team, outreach at purplelinemd.com, and we do engage with the community at events. We can do educational events or support people. We do it all along the alignment. So there are other ways that we can help, and we'd love to hear from that group.
anything else on outreach? We do have just a few more details on the CAT meeting. So we did assign a date and I was close. You might be the first meeting, actually. Let us confirm that though. I mean, I think CAT, it's probably pretty set, but we'll make sure we get it out to you guys with the final. Anything I'm missing on this? Nope. Okay. So yeah, CAT meetings will resume, like I said, and Riverdale Park CAT meeting is scheduled for May 2nd. So one of the things that we were really impressed with in our conversation with Jessica a few days ago was how engaged the community is and how engaged the township is with its community members. So we understand that there's a lot of information that's already being communicated, but we do like to emphasize that you can also come directly to us. So you can reach out to us. Outreach is a intensely monitored email account. So if you have any questions, please just reach out to us. And if you haven't already, start following us on social media. We have our newsletter, our bilingual newsletter that goes out once a month. And one of the things, and another thing you can sign up for if you haven't already, are construction updates. And so those will come to you by email or text. And if you ever have any questions, again, outreach at purplelinemd.com. We'll be able to answer any and all questions for you all. So that is our presentation. Those are our updates. We're, again, happy to answer any final questions or things for us to take away and get back to you all on.
Alexa, I did confirm that your slide is right. You are correct. This is
Okay,
the
good.
first group set to meet on Thursday, May 2nd, virtual CAT meeting.
And when will that be posted and how can we communicate that, like links and how to sign up or to be reminded of it?
We should have the press release out by the end of next week, beginning of the following, for sure by the 1st of April. And once that press release goes out, the link to submit questions in advance will be live on our website. Always people can send it directly to outreach at purplelinemd.com, but the link will be live. And then so will the meeting invite, so that people can add that to their calendars. We'll start pushing that out heavily at the beginning of April.
So I have one other question that is, again, many years ago, there was some discussion of it being a partial opening of the Purple Line before the whole thing opened. So perhaps New Carrollton to Silver Spring or New Carrollton to College Park. Is that still in the plans, or did that suffer as part of the reconfiguration?
That's a good question. My understanding has been, and I've been with the project for 8 months, so which is might explain a little bit of where I'm let me follow up on that. But these meetings are really helpful because they bring up questions that I haven't encountered before yet on the project. So I don't think that's the case, but we will close. Or Kat, do you know 100%? I'm pretty sure 100%.
Yeah, I
the whole
think
thing
that
will open at once.
That language, I believe Mayor Thompson ceased when the design builder was replaced.
Yeah, that was, I hadn't heard it in a while, but I do remember it from the early parts of the project. And then the one other thing, I don't think I've ever seen this, and there was, a late design change on the bridge construction. The flyover, there's nothing on the ground in the intersection at all. Is that right? There's no pylons going down or anything like that. It is like a complete in the air over the entire intersection. Okay, just wanted to verify that. That was my memory of where the design ended up, but it was a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah, it's really think of it like a bridge. We don't use the term bridge because people think it's for cars. So we say flyover or aerial connection, so it's really the only people who will be allowed on it are people to build it and to maintain it. So
sure. Yeah, but it was just a question of, sometimes a bridge will have a pylon in the middle of it.
It's meant to it's meant to fly over the intersection. Is another way to think of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valid question because that would really impact that intersection.
Right, it would. And I just, wanted to know the answer to it because again, there was initially a plan to have a much less open structure underneath it, that it was going to just be embankments, and then that changed, and I wasn't sure what happened at the middle of the intersection. I never followed up on that. And then I guess there's one other question, which is at 58th, right now there are traffic lights that aim just into the edge of the bridge. So you can see the bridge is nicely lit up by red, yellow, or green. And are there going to be traffic lights on the other side of the bridge after the reconfiguration, or is it just going to be the ones that are visible in the middle of the intersection?
I'd like to follow up on that. I did ask for a little bit more information. I did try to come prepared with more information on the intersection, and I just wasn't able to get the answers. So we'll follow up with you on that one.
Okay, fantastic. It looks like there might be something in the chat.
I think I just saw a thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't have any other questions. I really appreciate this update, and for you coming out on a Saturday morning. Appreciate that a lot. And we'll be passing along a recording of this presentation. Can we get a copy of the slides? Would that be possible to send them to us also?
Sure, I'll send them to Jessica later today.
Fantastic. And I don't have any more questions. I don't know if other people here might have some.
I have a question. Bike lanes sort of around the lines. I think I was told at one point that's not necessarily part of the Purple Line, but then it was supported. Do you have any information in terms of like bike access to, like, not just to the stations, but sort of like along the lines as well?
This is like one of my least favorite questions to answer, because we don't have any control over the bike network. It's really a county thing. So I definitely recommend following up with your county representative on that, because it's a little bit more of a network issue. We just, kind of like I was saying earlier, we can handle what's in our level, like our service area, which is pretty linear and isolated to the stations itself.
So sidewalks next to stations or next to lines also wouldn't be in your sort of purview?
There's a catchment area around stations, and that's where we emphasize pedestrian and cyclist access. And we have, within most of our stations, I believe, depending on the layout, like we will have upgraded pedestrian and cyclist access. So like upgraded sidewalks and entrances to the stations themselves. But when you start to kind of back away a bit and it becomes more of a network issue, that's when it goes into the county's realm.
Because I'm most concerned about, so Kenilworth Avenue already has like barely any sidewalks at all, and so I'm thinking about the neighborhoods that are closest to the actual stations may somehow find it harder to get to the stations, just because you have to drive everywhere to get in and out of those neighborhoods. And so that's what I'm like really curious about. What's the plan for people who are living in, say, like, that Patterson 54th Avenue, but even like south of East West Highway, like their ability to walk to one of those two stations? Like, is that, when you mentioned like improvements to like areas, does that sort of include that? Has that been considered at all in some of the reworking that's happened?
Yeah, I think we should follow up with you with more information. But I mean, I think like when you start talking about roads that we have impacted a lot, we do return our plan is to return those with upgraded pedestrian and cyclist facilities. So let us get back to you about, or maybe start a conversation with you offline about what those facilities look like. Because like I said, we are upgrading the ones on Kenilworth. So let's try to figure out exactly where you're talking about and what the plans in place are.
Ifiak, you should reach out to County Councilmember Olson's office also. He's very interested in ensuring that there's very high grade pedestrian and bicyclist access along Kenilworth there. He was looking at the most recent plans and hoping that perhaps the sidewalks could be improved even a little bit more beyond what's planned. So you should reach out to him, and I'm happy to be part of that conversation.
And,
I will, thank you.
and Mr. Mayor, I would add that it's my understanding that the county had received bond bill funds for sidewalk improvements in and around the Purple Line stations in Riverdale Park. But we've been unable to determine what the county's plans are. At least so far, we've been unable to.
Okay, well, if Yaak and I get something out of Eric, then we'll be sure to pass it on as quickly as possible.
Okay, anything else?
Any other questions? We did have a comment on social media, and that was related to safety measures along East West Highway, and we can talk about that offline just to see how far back perhaps some improvements may be made. And we can follow up, of course, with sidewalks on East West Highway. That's a topic that we are very familiar with and have been working on for quite a while, so we'll share that with our residents. But thank you so much for coming out this morning. We can't thank you enough for this personalized opportunity to chat with you about some things that are important to us in Riverdale Park. So thank you again. This is our way of one of our opportunities to have conversations with our residents and to hear on a more intimate format what is going on in the community and the things that they have concerns about. So you really addressed a lot of those today. So thank you again for spending your Saturday morning with us. I did want to add for our residents that on Monday night, we have the State of the Town presentation starting at 7:30. It's on a virtual format as well. Our work session is on the 26th of March, which is a Tuesday this month. And then in April, we move into the highly anticipated budget month. We will have our budget presented on April the 1st, and then we have 2 budget public hearings on the 13th and the 20th. So we're looking forward to seeing our residents at all of those events virtually. And thank you again for your time this morning. Okay, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks very
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you all very much. Take care.